Well, good evening and happy new year to everybody out there. Blair Nightingale here coming at you. Market Monday. It's 2022. We're back. We're starting a whole fresh new season of Market Monday here at Tradeway 2022. Hopefully, you guys out there had an awesome Christmas season, holiday season, and we're in the New Year season, right? We're only a couple of days in. We're in the New Year season, and that's what we're going to talk about today is really trading goals, okay? Trading goals, but how do I stay motivated in my trading goals past January? Now, I'm willing to admit here that perhaps for some of us, trading goals or goals in general is not necessarily the first thing that you might think of when you want to learn trading or you want to increase in trading and you want to go forward in trading. This isn't going to be just typical goal setting information. I want to talk about why do we get motivated in late December, in January. I mean, this is the time of year where around Tradeway, we do see a very noticeable uptick in people interested in, but not just interested in, motivated to either learn to trade, get back to their trading, or take their trading to another level. And I've said this actually in a Market Monday we did at the end of last year, where I don't necessarily believe that there's anything special. I'm cautious with this because I don't necessarily think there's anything special about January, right? In one sense, because you and I are alive and we had the ability to choose on December 14th, on November 7th, on March 23rd of last year. I know seasons change, seasons come and go, but we ultimately can make new decisions and get new outcomes at any time of the year. There's a little bit more we need to say about that. That's what we're going to go into today because I want to help you identify what you really want out of your trading and in your trading, but also how to put yourself in a position that keeps you motivated. Because if you can stay motivated for something, and I've said this on here before, and I've said this to many Tradeway students before, if I see a man who's truly possessed by a goal and a desire, okay, or a woman for that matter, right? Truly focused. Their mind is set upon it. And I'm not just talking about self-will here, but when you notice that somebody has to do, a lot of the challenge that we face is so many different things going on and so many different options. And what I want to help you do is find some ways to stay focused beyond January. Because if you can stay focused beyond January, you can see bigger, better results in any area of your life. And of course, that's the potential we have here in trading. Okay. That's what I want to set out. Now, I signed off with you guys in 2021 with tips on how to finish the year well. Okay. How to finish the year well. I took some time myself and sat down with those very things, talking to the Holy Spirit, talking to some friends of mine, doing some journaling right here on my computer. How do I want to finish well? And part of that was saying, what do I really want? Remember, I said that in the last broadcast. Identify what do you really want, not what do you think you want, not what should you want, but what do you really want? Because we've got to get down to that or it's not going to motivate you. Okay. So I want us to keep that in mind as we move forward here. I'm going to give you some tips right now on how you can stay motivated past January, because I said the new year isn't necessarily special in and of itself, right? And that's only partially true. I say that to highlight that we can choose something new any time of the year. And January doesn't have to be any different than that, right? Any other time of the year doesn't have to be any different. We can start new whenever you and I decide that we are going to do something different. That's powerful. What is special about the start of January, okay? is that a lot of people are talking about this. Here we are, you and I right now having this conversation because the New Year's resolution is an annual tradition for us, isn't it? We're going to start thinking about, you know what, this new year, it's time. It's a good time to reflect and say, what is it that I really want? What do I want to do? So there is some power in that, isn't there? But the problem is in 3 or 4 or 5 or 14 days from today, nobody's going to be talking about that. Now, maybe some of you guys out there are the exception. Maybe you have somebody in your life who helps keep you motivated because they are motivated and they have ways to keep themselves motivated. But you would be the exception. Most people in a couple of weeks, the New Year's resolution is going, the buzz around that is going to fade. So when you and I make a New Year's resolution based on the buzz, a lot of times it's dependent upon the buzz. And if, like I said, that buzz is going to disappear in a couple weeks, what happens to you and I and our motivation with these resolutions? It's not that we didn't really want the thing that we said we wanted. So then why don't we follow through? We continue to give it our all. That's what we're going to look at today. But the number one thing I want to start off is just to say the buzz ain't going to carry us through. If I can just say it plainly, right? It's just not going to carry us through. We've got to dig down deeper. So let's go to number one. And just to hit on this, I talked about how to finish the year well. I just mentioned that a few minutes ago. So we said, let's decide, what do I really want in 2022? Well, here we are. Now we're in 2022. And it's really two questions. What do I really want? Okay. And what am I willing to do? Because I've got to be willing to do something new if I want to get something new. Now, you guys have all heard that before. We don't need to be instructed on that. We probably just need to be reminded, right? We don't need to be instructed. We've heard it, but we probably do need to be reminded and encouraged to do that because we really do have to decide to do something new. But we're also going to have to reckon with our lives and say, okay, that's going to cost me some resources. Right? That's going to cost me some attention, some energy, some focus, some time, some effort, some money. Depends on what it is, but it's going to cost us something to pour into an area of our lives. So if we want to get a new outcome, then we've got to decide, what kind of new input am I going to put in this? Now, obviously, we have to decide what this is. So you got to know your goals. You got to write your goals. You got to pray your goals. You got to know your goals. You got to write your goals. You got to pray your goals. I've told you guys many times, Harvard Business School did a study on students that write them down, that know them but don't write them down, and don't know them or write them down. And the ones who wrote them down earn significantly, multiple times more than anybody else after 10 years from graduation, just by writing them down. Keeps them focused, keeps them motivated. It's a part of it. Right? Write your goals, know your goals, pray your goals. But you also have to say, what am I going to put into that? Okay. But we can't stay on track if we don't even identify what the track is. So if you haven't gone back and said, I'm closing out 2021, I'm starting 2022, there's some things I'm leaving in my trading. Name one thing. I spent some time in prayer and I just asked God, can you help me discover what's one thing that I really need to leave behind in 2021 and how you can help me do that? That's a very important question because some of us were just really looking into 2022, but it's January 3rd. And when it comes to our trading, there's some things we need to leave in 2021. Okay. And it's not as simple as just saying, I want to leave results that I didn't like, but maybe it's a mindset you need to leave behind. Maybe there's a program you need to get into. Maybe there's some coaching you need help with. Maybe you need to talk to your spouse and get some partnership there. Maybe you don't have that partnership there and you need somebody to encourage you. Maybe you had a tough year in trading and you've got to renew and rekindle that fire and hope. Maybe you had a great year in trading and you need to be inspired to go even higher. Whatever it is, there's something to pursue in 2022. There's also something we probably need to leave behind in 2021. So that's something that we can do. We can't get on track and stay on track if we don't identify what the track even is. What am I leaving behind? And what am I moving into? Number 2, and this is the big one, you guys. I see some comments there. I'm going to say this first. Spent 4 hours shoveling snow yesterday in Colorado Springs. Holy smokes. Yeah, I can remember that growing up. I can definitely remember that growing up. I love this. Look at this. I am leaving behind. Okay. Great example, Jeffrey. Thank you. Of making a mistake and stopping out. I'm going to leave behind the fear of making a mistake and stopping out. You know, if Jeffrey and I were having that conversation, right, as a coach here at Tradeway, you know what I would say? I'll take that in 2 parts to be practical. I'm going to say, first of all, if we are learning, here's what I notice about adult learning. Okay. When I was just for the Christmas break, I was around family. There was a bunch of kids and they all play instruments, piano, guitar, bass, drums, singing, you name it, right? Tons of music going on in the house. They are going to make so many mistakes as they learn. Okay. They're going to make mistakes. Now, things are heightened on some trading because we're talking about losing money. You could also be paper trading to practice your trading. So that's something I'll submit at this point in the conversation too. But younger people tend to have a little bit more grace for themselves to learn something new. It doesn't mean they like making mistakes, but they're okay giving themselves permission to learn something new. Something I've noticed about adult learning in my own life and in others is they sign up to learn something new, but somehow carry a greater level of avoidance, even possibly shame, and resistance to the idea that in order to learn, they're going to have to make mistakes. Somebody said the environment of learning is making mistakes. So Jeffrey says, I'm afraid of making mistakes. What's that going to do? It's going to make him afraid to really learn. And in trading, I can tell you that fear is going to poison. It's going to poison the trading. So we actually want to work through that. So that's a great thing to leave behind. It's okay to make mistakes, right? If our position sizes are not too big and we're practicing at the appropriate level when a strategy hasn't become consistent for us yet, then it takes a lot of the anxiety out of it. Okay. There's more to say about that. You know, we won't go into all of that. We have a whole course here at Tradeway regarding fear. But that's a really important part of it. And stopping out, you know, the funny thing about fear of stopping out is that we might think that's how we lose, but it's actually when we don't stop out that we really lose. And once we get that, then we go, you know what? I'm not into this not stopping out anymore. And that mindset can start to pass away, if you will. So thank you for that, Jeffrey. So good. Terrence says, true. I needed to hear this. Hey, start of the year. For those of you that have taken the time to join me tonight, I am going to transfer some energy and some inspiration to you, not just in this call that we are on right now, but in some of these skills I'm going to tell you that you can implement that are going to be ecosystems for you. And that's my big word. When it comes to energy, empowerment, right? Motivation, it's not about getting a shot of motivation, right? People like to say, self-help doesn't work and motivation doesn't work. Why doesn't it work? Well, because it wears off. Okay, what if you and I discuss how to create not a little bit of extra power in your trading life, but how to build a power plant in your life? What if we spend some time constructing a power plant so that when you use up the power for today, January 3rd, Monday, 2022, you have a way to generate some more tomorrow, right? That's the difference. Number 2, consider that the conditions around your trading are the key, not just the motivation. In other words, it's not just the motivation and power in January for your trading goals, now that we've identified what they are, right? Number 1. But it is the power plant. And perhaps the fact that it doesn't really exist. There may not be intentional ways in your life right now beyond a basic recognition that you would like trading to be successful for you, right? You may have more than that, but you may not. I may be talking to some people tonight on live, on the recording. You maybe don't have that yet, okay? Well, it's okay. We can build that. We can build that, but conditions are key. Think of a garden. Some of you have heard me talk about this. When we are going to grow something, some of you are gardeners, some of you aren't. I'm not really a gardener. In fact, not really. I'm just not, right? You wouldn't want me to tend to your garden out in the backyard. I promise you that. But I know enough about it to know that when people garden, when people farm, even when they want to grow a plant in the house, they provide for the plant certain conditions that are conducive to growth. They encourage and promote growth. It has to be watered every so often. It has to have the right kind of dirt. It has to have a big enough pot. It needs to be in the sunlight, but sometimes it can't stay in direct sunlight, or it needs to be moved. Depending on what you're growing, there's a lot to it. If it's outside, we add some more things to that. We need to protect it. There's an underlay. We could go down the line here, right? What are we doing? Well, it's kind of common sense. There's certain things that we have to do for things to grow healthy. What's funny to me about that is when it comes to trading, right? We might just go, I'm just going to get some information and I'm going to go straight to application. Well, how many know that's pretty important, right? That's the backbone of what we're doing here. But there are all those conditions around you that help you remove mistakes, stay motivated, have good goals, discover your own personal weaknesses, overcome those weaknesses, continue moving, continue adding skills, understanding fear, mindset, options, right? We can add all kinds of things to help you have the environment you need. How about this? Encouragement, right? Encouragement, coaching, mentorship. I could go just keep going on. Let's name conditions, right? What are conditions that you would think, oh, that would really help my trading, right? You might have some unique ones in your own life. Okay. So some of these things are so important because this is the power plant, right? This is the power plant. We need an environment of prayer. We need an environment of the word. We need community connection with other traders, right? We need encouragement from time to time. Some of us need a lot of encouragement, and I don't have an issue with that, right? Sometimes I'm a person that needs a lot of encouragement. Sometimes I'm a person doesn't need a lot at all, okay? An environment of motivation, not just today, tomorrow, the next day, right? Excitement, buzz that continues to be generated, right? Sometimes we need an environment of correction, adjustment. These things are part of a healthy ecosystem for you to feel energized to continue to move forward. This is progress. These are the ingredients in the soil of progress for your trading, okay? And we want to create those conditions around you because those conditions are empowering to your goals. You might make the goals on January 3rd, but when you have the conditions around you, it can be February 3rd, 2023, and you still have the nourishment you need to run forward. And that's really important. Tradeway seeks to design for you. We do the ecosystem for you. Sometimes people might think this is all about just a strategy. You got to get a strategy. I can tell you this. I sit down with people since, let's see, since the second half of 2021, Tradeway has done a bunch of new meetings out in Florida. Florida is a thriving state right now. Tampa, Fort Lauderdale, Tradeway's been out there quite a bit. I meet a lot of traders. Meet traders at these meetings. Lots of people who've never traded before. I'm talking to somebody out there tonight, right? But also some people who have, right? They've traded, they've tried, they've learned, they've done. Maybe they tried a book, maybe they tried YouTube. But you know what they don't have? One of the things is this ecosystem, and they know that they need more, right? Because it energizes them. Jeffrey shared with us he might be afraid of making a mistake. Now, there's wisdom in saying, I might make mistakes and I really don't want to do that. So getting yourself into a community, getting some mentorship, it's a huge part of that, isn't it? We don't want you to make mistakes that you don't need to make, and you don't need to make them because other people already have. We've got plenty of people here at Tradeway. They've already made those mistakes. So why don't we share with you the mistakes we've made so that you don't have to make those mistakes with your money? You can lose less and move faster. That sounds pretty good to me. Move faster and lose less. Of course, everybody wants that, but practically speaking, that's what happens when you learn through other people's mistakes instead of your own. That's part of those conditions, right? So knowing what is it that you really want to do, know your goals, write your goals, pray your goals. Consider that the conditions of your life are true. Are you trying to get a little bit of power here and there? Or are you building a power plant around your trading where you have the nutrients and the conditions and the fire that you need to be the successful trader that you want to be, right? That's what I would say to you. Number three, I would say this, and it's very important, right? I don't want to oversimplify this and make it sound like, oh, you just got to, do this, do that. Everything's all good. What's the problem here, guys? We got to touch on this. Number three, what are some of the things that you foresee being? And this could be something that maybe you talk about a trusted person in your life, maybe your spouse, a friend, that somebody who's maybe been you've been open with about your trading journey or your desire to be a trader. Certainly, this is something that could be done with coaches here at Tradeway. But I should also say this is something that could be done with the Lord, right? This is actually something I would definitely encourage us all to do in prayer. You say, well, what is it? What are you talking about? I'm saying, what is the single or foreseeable greatest challenge in this first quarter? Not necessarily just the whole year. I mean, that's a lot of life happening between now and January 3rd, 2023. What about just this first quarter? What do you think is going to be one of or a few of the greatest challenges to you staying on the pursuit of your goals, staying connected to the power plant community, as it were, and moving forward? We've got to address what might oppose that in our lives. We can't ignore it. We've all got busy lives. We've all got things going on. Nobody's life is perfectly aligned, right? So this is definitely something we need to touch on, right? You have to think about that. So what is that main, or a few, maybe not too many, but a few main challenges that you might encounter in your life that we'd have to actually tackle? And the thing is if we can identify even loosely what some of that might be, because it's happened in the past, it's probably something that you've encountered before already, right? We can begin to do some things proactively to at least minimize the potential impact of those challenges. Okay. I understand that some challenges are going to be more complex than others. So I'm not trying to oversimplify that, but there are some things we can do. And certainly we have a big God who makes big promises. And so we can take things to him no matter what they are, no matter what size some of these challenges will be. If you're wanting to learn to trade and you're feeling like this is exactly what God is doing in my life, and by the way, that's how I felt. That is how I started. Okay. I wanted it to be the solution to some challenges and desires that I had, and I felt like the Lord was leading me to do so. Now, that's a question you are going to have to answer with him. I can't speak to that, but that is my story. And we can definitely go, if this is something that he has called me to do, then he is going to give me grace to overcome the challenges that I have. I ought to ask him. I ought to ask him about that. So my first thing is, who's someone in your life you could partner with? Who's somebody who could be an encouragement? Who is somebody who could be an empowering person, voice in your life? God is pretty darn good for that. He really is. Now, there could be somebody else in your life as well, right? For some of you, it might be a spouse. And I say that because for some of you, maybe that is the challenge, right? Your spouse is not excited about your trading, not on board, right? And that can be one of the challenges. So that's something that maybe we need to go to God and we need to say, I need to know, how can I get some strength to do this? Now, we don't pretend to be marriage counselors over here at Tradeway, but we understand that this is something that comes up and this is something that happens. I'm probably speaking to one or two people, if not more, out there tonight. Of course, there are other challenges, but who's somebody who can partner with you on that? Let a few trusted people in your life know that you're going after this goal. You don't have to share the challenge even necessarily. It depends on the level of trust you have with these individuals. But if you can get a couple of people to pray through the first quarter of this year with you, I need you to pray, please, over this area of my life. It's something I feel like God has called me to do, right? This is the body of Christ coming around one another and saying, I want to see you get the win here, right? So I'm going to pray over your trading, or I'm going to pray over your motivation and your energy. I'm going to pray over this one or a few challenges that you said, man, this kind of gets in the way of my trading. I'm going to pray over that for you. We're going to seek God together for some breakthrough for you in that area of your trading. Okay. And then the next one, the next thing I would say is to get a traction plan, right? Think of a few practical things in your own life around that challenge, or somebody who might be able to help you get a little bit of a traction plan together. We're doing some of that right now, but specifically for whatever it is that you come up with for a challenge in your life, what's some things preemptively you could decide to do that are going to lessen the restriction or the opposition that might come from that challenge? It might be something like, busyness. I need a little bit of extra time in my schedule. That might be as easy as sitting down and shuffling a little bit in the schedule, right? Maybe something else needs to go for a little while, right? Maybe you need a little bit of help in certain areas so you can have a little bit extra time. Whatever it is, it might just be scheduling. It might not be. It might be something else, right? But whatever it is, we can sit down and be preemptive and say, okay, what's something that's going to lessen that, right? What's something that's going to lessen that? Because that is going to prepare you if and when you run into that very challenge, right? And chances are, whatever it is, it's been cyclical. It comes up. You've seen it. If you've not ever done any trading, chances are one of these things is going to be it's what the enemy always uses. It's going to be fear, it's going to be doubt, or it's going to be both, right? So you can gird yourself up, as the scripture says, ahead of time to be ready if fear or doubt should come. If this is what God's called you to do, if this is what you want to do, then you ought to just press on and do it. And we can be prepared to do that. Ephesians 6:10, I think this is my scripture for the year. Be strong in the Lord and in his mighty power. And in his mighty power. So that's going to be a great framework for staying empowered through January. Remember, January is a nice cultural kickstart because we talk about it a lot. And it can be inspiring. And I'm not against that. I like that. I'm using that to my advantage. But I know enough to know that it is going to fizzle out, right? That source of energy is going to fizzle out when the first week of the new year starts to fade into the rear view mirror. And from there, I'm going to have to generate my own energy. But when I have ecosystems in my life that can do that, it is so much easier. So what can you do in your life to make that so much easier, get further, faster, with less work? Get into the Tradeway community. Get into one of our programs. If you're not in already, it's time to go ahead and get in. Take massive action. If you want to learn to trade, we are the people to help you do it. We do it for thousands of people all over the country. We have a fantastic program of top of the line information and coaching and mentorship who are actively helping students every day the markets are open. We can help you do that. We can help you build the environment in your life that promotes you into the goals that you are pursuing. And one of the ways we do that, for some of you who don't know this yet, I'm popping the link into the chat, Facebook and YouTube. Charts by Tradeway. We've launched in December our own charting software. This integrates a journaling service. Every trade you do can go into a journal if you so choose. You can share that with our coaches. It's not only information that'll help us coach you, it'll be good information for you to be coaching yourself, to look at your results and so much more. That's one thing, massive, but only one thing that Charts by Tradeway does. So you can click on the link right there and get access to Charts by Tradeway today. That might be it for you guys. That might be the tool that you need to have somebody looking in and having some accountability by looking in on your trading. Again, you don't have to do it that way. I'll say that, but it can be a very helpful thing. So that's Charts by Tradeway. Guys, this is how you and I can stay motivated, clarify what the goals are, and actually get there in 2022 making it through Q1. When we get to Q2, we can come back around and say, hey, are we still on fire for the goals we set on January 3rd? I hope you are going to say yes. And if you take that massive action today, you certainly can. If you don't feel like you followed through last year, this year can be your year, but you and I have to do something different. With that said, guys, appreciate you. Thank you. This is back for another season of Market Monday. Like I said, I look forward to seeing you. We're going to be traveling around the country a whole lot more this year, and I look forward to seeing some of you as we move through the new year. And of course, joining you here every night on Market Monday for the Monday broadcast. Appreciate you guys so much. Thank you, and good night.